The wind moves gently across the ancient peaks. Olympus stands silent beneath a pale dawn sky. Golden clouds drift slowly, carrying whispers from forgotten ages. Time feels still, yet uneasy. Far above the mortal world, Athena walks alone through marble halls. Her footsteps echo like distant bells. The goddess of wisdom senses a tremor in the fabric of fate. Something stirs beyond the horizon of time. Birds circle nervously in the brightening air. The sun hesitates, as if unsure to rise. She stops near a balcony carved with sacred symbols. Her gaze travels beyond the mountains, into the mist. Visions flicker at the edge of her thoughts. A bridge of light, a storm with no rain. Olympus is peaceful, but the peace feels thin, fragile, like glass touched by wind. Other gods feast and laugh in distant chambers. They do not feel the shift. She does. A soundless pulse passes through the sky. Athena closes her eye. She listens deeply. Threads of destiny tremble like strings of a celestial harp. The melody has changed. She whispers a single word into the dawn. It begins. The war of ages is coming, but not as anyone expects. The sun climbs slowly over Olympus. Its light spills across the marble like warm gold. The air is still, holding its breath between night and day. A quiet tension hums beneath the dawn. Athena stands at the highest terrace. Her silver armor gleams softly in the morning glow. She's not at ease. Her eyes follow the distant horizon, searching for something unseen. Below, rivers flow calmly. Forests shimmer with dew. The world appears peaceful, almost perfect. But Athena senses what others cannot. A hidden rhythm has shifted. The harmony of time is uneven. She turns toward the great temple. Pillars rise like ancient trees, carved with stories of gods and heroes. Each engraving tells of past victories, of clever strategies, of moments when wisdom shaped destiny. She walks slowly through the temple. Her footsteps echo through the vast halls like gentle drums. Candles burn steadily along the walls. Their light flickers, casting moving shadows across stone faces. Athena pauses before a great mosaic of the heavens. Stars swirl in delicate patterns above her. Something is wrong. A cluster of stars is misaligned. A tiny fracture in the eternal map. She steps closer. Her hand brushes the cool surface of the mosaic. The air trembles faintly. The stars in the mosaic shift again. This time, she is sure. It is no trick of the light. A sharp wind rushes through the hall. It has no source. It carries whispers in a language older than gods. Athena listens. The whispers speak not to her ears, but to her mind. They are warnings. She turns away from the mosaic and walks swiftly toward the council chamber. Inside, the gods have gathered. Laughter fills the air like the sound of bells. Zeus sits on his golden throne, amused by Apollo's song. Hera speaks softly with Demeter. None of them notice the strange wind. None feel the shifting threads of time. Athena clears her throat. The chamber quiets slightly. Many eyes turn toward her. "My brothers and sisters," she begins, her voice calm but firm. "Something is happening." Zeus raises an eyebrow. "Happening?" His tone is casual, almost dismissive. "The stars have moved," Athena continues. "The harmony of time is disturbed. We must investigate." Hermes laughs lightly. "Stars move all the time, wise one. Perhaps they are simply dancing." A few gods chuckle. Athena does not. Her gaze remains steady, unshaken by their amusement. "This is different," she insists. "The stars do not dance without reason. Destiny trembles." Zeus leans back on his throne. "You have always been cautious, Athena. Perhaps too cautious." She senses their disbelief, but she does not waver. Truth has its own weight, and she carries it well. The oracle warned of a coming storm. Athena says, a storm beyond mortal skies. Hera frowns slightly. The oracle speaks in riddles. We cannot chase every whisper of prophecy. Athena steps forward. Her presence commands the room without force, only clarity. This is no whisper, she says. I felt it. I saw it. Time itself is shifting beneath us. For a moment, silence settles over the chamber. Even Apollo lowers his lyre. But then Zeus waves a hand. If a storm comes, we will face it. We always do. Let us not worry needlessly. The council returns to its chatter. The laughter resumes, like nothing was said. Athena stands still, watching them. She knows their confidence is blind. She turns and leaves the chamber. Her cloak flows behind her like a quiet shadow. Outside, the wind picks up again. It swirls around her, carrying the same ancient whispers. She looks to the horizon. The sky is bright, but the light feels thin, almost hollow. Somewhere far beyond Olympus, something awakens. She feels it like a distant heartbeat. The war of ages is drawing near, though no blade has yet been raised. Athena knows she must act. Waiting will not save them. Wisdom must walk before destiny arrives. She takes a deep breath and begins to plan her journey. The path ahead is uncertain, but her resolve is clear. High above the world, beneath the rising sun, Athena prepares for what is to come. Morning drifts slowly into full day. Light spreads across valleys and temples like flowing silk. Athena descends the marble steps of Olympus with measured grace. Her mind is restless, sharp, alert. The whispers from the wind still echo faintly in her thoughts. They are threads of a mystery not yet revealed. She knows the council will not act. She must follow the signs alone. Wisdom often walks a solitary path. Below Olympus, the mortal world stirs. Markets awaken, rivers sparkle, birds fill the air with song. Yet beneath the surface of daily life, something feels fragile. Time moves, but with a strange rhythm. Athena walks toward Delphi, guided by instinct and memory. The oracle waits in her sacred sanctuary. The road winds through olive groves and quiet hills. Each step takes her farther from divine comfort. She passes shepherds, travelers, and merchants. None recognize the goddess beneath her mortal disguise. She wears a simple cloak, dusty from the path, and carries only a staff marked with hidden runes. By midday, the air grows warmer. Cicadas hum like tiny instruments playing a single, endless song. The temple of Delphi rises ahead, perched on ancient stones, surrounded by twisting laurel trees. The sacred place glows faintly, as if sunlight clings to its walls with reverence. Athena approaches silently. Priestesses move through the courtyard in rhythmic patterns, their white robes flowing like soft clouds. They greet her politely, unaware of her true identity. Visitors are common. Wisdom often seeks wisdom. She enters the inner chamber, where shadows fall like veils over carved walls. The air smells of smoke and herbs. The oracle sits upon a stone seat above a fissure in the earth. Thin vapors rise and swirl around her. Her eyes are closed. Her breathing is slow and deep, like someone listening to the heartbeat of the world. Athena bows her head slightly. I seek truth, she says softly. And time is running thin. The oracle opens her eyes. They are distant, unfocused, as if seeing worlds beyond the present. You arrive, the oracle whispers, as the river bends back upon itself. The hourglass begins to hum. Athena steps closer. Speak clearly. What is happening to the stars? Why do the threads of fate tremble? The oracle tilts her head. Her voice grows layered, echoing like two people speaking at once. An age will rise, she says. An age will fall. In one breath, destiny shall fold upon itself. Athena listens carefully. The words are riddles, but truth hides inside riddles like pearls and shells. The signs appear in heaven and earth, the oracle continues. The bridge awaits. The storm has no rain. Athena recognizes the phrase. She heard it whispered by the wind on Olympus. The pattern is real. Where must I go? She asks. What path leads to the heart of this storm? The oracle slowly lifts her hand. In her palm rests a small bronze medallion engraved with a strange symbol. Half of it is a radiant sun. The other half is an hourglass turned on its side. It hums faintly. This will guide you, the oracle says. When the world forgets its rhythm, follow the soundless beat. Athena accepts the medallion. It feels warm, as if alive. Threads of energy pulse through her fingers. The War of Ages returns, the oracle whispers. Not with armies, but with echoes of forgotten oaths. The chamber grows colder. The vapors thicken. The air carries the weight of something, ancient awakening. Athena knows she cannot stay long. The path ahead is forming piece by piece, like a puzzle revealing itself. She bows once more. Thank you, she says. Wisdom will not be silent. The oracle closes her eyes again. Her voice fades like a distant breeze. The bridge awaits. Outside, the sunlight has shifted. The shadows lie longer, and the wind carries a new tone. Athena walks away from the temple, the medallion clenched in her hand. Each step feels heavier with purpose. The journey has begun. The signs are clear now. The War of Ages is no longer a whisper. It is a call. She looks to the sky. The stars will speak again tonight. And when they do, she will be listening. The night sky unfolds like a vast, silent scroll. Stars shimmer faintly, scattered like secrets across the heavens. Athena stands at the edge of a quiet hill, far from the glowing temples of Olympus. Her journey has begun. The medallion rests against her palm. Its surface pulses softly, like a heartbeat that does not belong to her. She gazes upward. The constellations shift subtly, not with time, but with intention. The sky is speaking. She listens carefully. Each flicker of starlight is a fragment of a message waiting to be understood. The oracle's words echo in her mind. When the world forgets its rhythm, follow the soundless beat. Below her, the land stretches into valleys, forests, and distant cities. Life continues, unaware of the change. The mortal world does not see the tremors in destiny's web. But Athena sees. She feels them with every step. She begins her descent toward the valley. The path winds between ancient stones, worn smooth by centuries. A faint wind moves through the trees, carrying whispers like threads from distant ages. The medallion glows faintly, casting a warm circle of light on the ground. It is guiding her forward. Hours pass as she walks beneath the shifting stars. Her steps are steady, her purpose clear. At dawn, she reaches a small village nestled between hills. Smoke rises gently from hearths. The air is cool. The villagers stir awake. Doors creak. Water flows into clay jars. Life begins with simple, timeless rhythms. Athena observes quietly. Mortals build their days with habit, not knowing that time itself trembles above them. She enters the village, her cloak dusty from travel. People greet her with polite curiosity. To them, she's just a traveler, another wanderer seeking shelter and food before continuing onward. In the village square stands a tall stone fountain. Water spills from carved lions into a shallow basin. Children play nearby, their laughter bright against the morning air. The sound steadies her thoughts. Beside the fountain, an elderly woman sells bread. Her eyes are sharp despite her age. She watches Athena. You travel far. the woman says. Her voice carries the weight of many seasons. The road is long these days. Athena nods. Longer than most can see, she replies softly. The woman studies her for a moment, then gestures toward a small inn across the square. Rest while you can. Athena thanks her and crosses to the inn. Inside, the air smells of warm bread and wood smoke. She sits at a corner table, her hood drawn low, and listens to the conversations around her. The villagers speak of strange nights, stars that seem to move, dreams that feel too real to ignore. She leans closer, quietly absorbing every word. The signs are appearing, even here, far from Olympus. A young man enters, carrying scrolls bound with frayed leather straps. His eyes are bright, curious, restless. He sits at a nearby table and begins spreading the scrolls open. Diagrams of stars cover the parchment. Athena watches him carefully. There is precision in his hands, a scholar's discipline. He notices her gaze and smiles politely. "You study the skies too?" he asks. His voice is light but eager. "For longer than you can imagine," she replies. He laughs softly, thinking she speaks in jest. "The stars have changed," he says, pointing to the scrolls. "I chart them every night. 2 constellations shifted positions last week. I thought it was my error, but no." Athena's interest sharpens. "You are certain?" He nods. "I checked 3 times. The sky is rewriting itself." She introduces herself with a false name. He calls himself Lysander, a scholar from a distant academy. Their conversation deepens quickly. He speaks of strange patterns, sudden star movements, and fractured cycles. Athena listens, her mind connecting his observations with the oracle's prophecy. Lysander unrolls one final scroll. It shows a star map with lines converging toward a single point. "This," he says, "appeared 2 nights ago. I've never seen anything like it." Athena studies the map closely. The convergence point glows faintly under the morning light. It is not just coincidence. The heavens are aligning towards something vast, something ancient. She realizes Lysander may be more than a chance encounter. He could become an ally on the path ahead. She rises from her seat. "Walk with me," she says. "There is much to discuss, and little time to waste." Lysander hesitates briefly, then gathers his scrolls and follows her out into the brightening day. The journey has gained a new companion. The rhythm of destiny grows louder. The soundless beat is guiding them both. The morning sun climbs higher, casting long rays across the quiet fields beyond the village. Athena walks beside Lysander along a narrow dirt path, her cloak trailing softly behind her. The medallion at her neck hums faintly, a steady pulse that guides her steps forward. Lysander carries his scrolls tightly against his chest, as if protecting fragile secrets from the wind. They travel in silence for a time. Birds sing from the trees, unaware of the cosmic tremors above them. Athena studies Lysander carefully. His curiosity burns bright, but he does not yet understand its weight. "You study the stars with great focus," she says. Her tone is calm, but there is purpose behind her words. Lysander nods. "The sky has always fascinated me. It speaks if one learns how to listen." Athena gives a faint smile. "Then you have already taken your first step into a much larger world." He laughs lightly. "You sound like a philosopher, or perhaps a prophet." "I am neither," she replies. "But the stars are shifting, and that is no ordinary phenomenon." Lysander looks up. "I know. Every night their paths twist a little more. It feels unnatural." "It is unnatural," Athena answers. "The harmony of time is being disturbed. The constellations are clues." He frowns. "Clues to what?" "To something ancient," she says. something that returns only when the world stands at a turning point. The path bends toward a wide meadow. Wildflowers sway in the gentle breeze like waves in a golden sea. Lysander gestures toward the horizon. I've spent my life looking for patterns. But this is beyond study. Athena steps ahead. Some patterns cannot be measured. They must be understood through wisdom, not numbers. He walks beside her. And you? Why do you travel this road? You speak like someone who already knows the truth. She pauses briefly before answering. Because the truth is coming, whether we chase it or not. They continue through the meadow until they reach a small stone bridge crossing a clear, slow-moving river. Athena stops at the center of the bridge. She gazes at the water, watching the sunlight ripple across its surface. The flow of this river is like time, she says. Steady, predictable. But what happens if a stone blocks the way? Lysander thinks for a moment. The water divides. It changes its course. Athena nods. Exactly. The stars are the river. Something has thrown a stone into their path. It looks uneasy. Then time itself is changing course? Yes, she says simply. And we must find out why before the river floods everything it touches. The medallion glows brighter for a moment. A low, resonant tone hums through the air. Lysander steps back. What is that? Athena holds the medallion up. It reacts when the threads of destiny twist nearby. We are close to something. She closes her eyes, focusing on the rhythm. The sound is not loud, but it cuts through the world like a signal. It's pointing east, she says. There's something hidden beyond the forest ahead. Lysander glances at the dark line of trees in the distance. I've heard stories about that forest. Stories hold truths, Athena replies, even when wrapped in fear. They leave the bridge and follow a faint trail leading toward the forest's edge. As they approach, the air grows cooler. The sunlight dims, filtered through dense layers of leaves. Bird song fades. The world becomes quieter, as if listening to their steps. Lysander hesitates. Are you certain about this path? Athena looks at him steadily. Certainty is a luxury we cannot afford, but wisdom guides us. Together, they step beneath the canopy. Shadows stretch long and deep, weaving patterns on the ground. The medallion hums steadily, casting a faint golden light that pierces the forest gloom. They walk deeper, passing twisted roots and moss-covered stones older than kingdoms. The trail bends sharply, revealing a clearing with a single massive stone structure at its center. It is ancient, half buried by earth and vines, shaped like an archway with carvings that shimmer faintly. Lysander whispers, I've never seen anything like this. Athena approaches slowly. This is no mortal construction. This is older than recorded time. The carvings pulse faintly, matching the rhythm of the medallion's glow. She touches the archway, and the air vibrates softly, like a harp string struck by invisible hands. This place holds a key, she says, a memory locked in stone. Lysander steps closer, eyes wide with wonder. What does it open? Athena turns to him, not what, but when. The forest stands silent around them, as if the trees themselves are waiting for the answer. The forest clearing holds its breath as Athena steps closer to the ancient archway. Lysander watches nervously, scrolls still tucked under his arm like a shield. The carvings along the stone shimmer faintly, pulsing with a rhythm that matches the medallion's glow. Athena traces the patterns with her fingertips, feeling the echoes of something vast and old. These markings, she whispers, they speak of passage, not through space, but through time itself. Lysander furrows his brow. Time? You mean this structure is a kind of portal? Not exactly, Athena replies softly. It's more like a memory, a doorway into forgotten ages. The medallion hums louder, its light brightening until it spills across the archway like liquid gold. The carvings respond, lines of light weaving together like strands of a cosmic loom. Lysander takes a cautious step forward. Should we activate it? Athena turns to him sharply. This is not a mortal tool. It will answer only to destiny's rhythm. She lifts the medallion and holds it before the arch. The air thickens, like the moment before a storm breaks. The hum becomes a tone, deep and resonant, spreading through the clearing in slow, deliberate waves. Leaves tremble. Stones vibrate. Time itself seems to pause, caught between inhale and exhale. Then, without warning, the archway flares with light, bright enough to turn shadows into memory. Lysander shields his eyes. Athena! She stands firm, eyes fixed on the arch as the light folds inward, revealing not stone but swirling patterns. Within the archway, a moving tapestry appears, a vision alive with shifting stars and flowing rivers of time. Lysander gasps. It's like looking at the sky itself, but it's moving backward. Athena nods slowly. These are echoes, fragments of history replayed by the fabric of destiny. The vision sharpens, revealing a grand city bathed in light, with towers of marble reaching into the clouds. People move below, their faces indistinct, yet their presence hums with purpose. This city, Lysander says, I've never seen it on any map. You couldn't, Athena answers. It existed long before maps were drawn. This is the age of dawning. The tapestry shifts again. The sky darkens. A great shadow spreads across the city like ink spilled on parchment. The medallion pulses faster. The tone deepens. Athena's brow tightens. The moment of fracture approaches. Lysander steps closer, mesmerized. Fracture? Every age ends with a breaking point, Athena says. This was theirs, and soon it may be ours. The vision shows figures gathering at a great temple. Their movements are solemn, their faces grave. A single star overhead flickers erratically, its light trembling like a candle in the wind. Athena watches intently. They saw it too, the shifting of the heavens. They tried to stop what was coming. The tapestry swirls violently. The star bursts into countless shards of light, scattering across the sky. The city vanishes. The archway dims. The tone fades into silence. Lysander exhales slowly, as if waking from a dream. What was that? A warning, Athena replies. History speaks, if we're willing to listen. He looks at her. That city, their age. It ended because of the stars. Not because of the stars, Athena says, because they ignored the signs until it was too late. She lowers the medallion. Its glow softens, though the pulse remains steady. The fracture is not a single event, she continues. It is a pattern repeating through ages. Lysander shakes his head. So the same thing is happening now? Athena's eyes meet his. Yes, the rhythm is returning. And this time, the consequences will reach every realm. The forest stirs again, as if awakened by their realization. A distant rumble echoes faintly through the trees. Lysander glances around nervously. What was that? Athena listens closely. The world responds when destiny is stirred. This is only the beginning. She steps away from the archway, her expression set with quiet determination. This place has shown us what was lost. Now we must find what still remains. Lysander follows, still shaken but curious. Where do we go next? Athena looks toward the horizon beyond the trees. East, to the place where the sky first changed. He swallows hard. And what will we find there? Answers, Athena says, or perhaps more questions. But either way, the path is set. They leave the clearing behind, the ancient archway slowly fading into stillness once more. The medallion beats like a silent drum, marking each step toward the heart of the coming age. The War of Ages is no longer a distant whisper. It has begun to breathe. The journey east begins beneath a sky streaked with silver clouds, drifting like quiet omens. Athena leads the way along a winding path that threads through low hills and scattered groves. Lysander follows, his steps quick to keep pace, his mind racing with questions he cannot yet ask. The medallion at Athena's chest glows faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat that sets the rhythm of their travel. Wind whispers through the grass, carrying distant echoes of something neither of them can fully name. The forest showed us what was, Athena says softly, but the east holds what is yet to come. Lysander nods, clutching his scrolls. The sky first changed there, didn't it? Yes, Athena answers. Long before anyone noticed, the heavens began to shift above that place. They walk for hours, the landscape slowly flattening into wide plains where rivers snake like silver threads. Villages appear at the edges of the horizon, smoke curling gently upward, signs of quiet mortal lives. Lysander glances toward them. Do they know what's happening above them? Athena shakes her head. Not yet. But they will. The rhythm touches every soul in time. As they travel, Lysander begins marking notes on one of his scrolls, sketching constellations from memory. Athena watches him. You keep searching for patterns. It's how I understand the world, he replies, even when it refuses to be understood. She allows a small smile. Wisdom often begins where understanding ends. The road leads them to a narrow valley where cliffs rise on both sides, worn smooth by ancient winds. The medallion grows warmer against Athena's skin. We're getting closer, she says. Lysander looks around uneasily. This place feels different, like the air itself is holding its breath. Athena pauses, listening. The wind falls silent. Even the birds seem to have retreated from the valley. There is something beneath this silence, she whispers. Something waiting. They continue slowly through the valley until they reach a broad stone plateau at its center. Strange markings cover the ground, not carved, but burned into the rock as if by light itself. Lysander kneels to examine them. These symbols, they're similar to the ones on the archway. Athena nods. The same rhythm, the same language of the stars. She steps carefully across the plateau, tracing a spiral pattern that seems to converge at the center. The medallion hums louder. A low vibration runs through the stone beneath their feet. Lysander straightens. Athena, something's happening. Yes, she says calmly. The past and future meet here. This is a crossing point. The air begins to shimmer faintly, like heat rising from invisible flames. A circular outline appears on the stone, glowing softly with golden light. Lysander takes a step back. What is that? A memory well, Athena replies. A place where time's reflections gather. Few remain in the mortal realm. The light strengthens, spiraling upward into a translucent column that reaches toward the sky. Images swirl within it, not clear, but fleeting impressions of places, faces, and distant stars. Lysander stares in awe. It's beautiful. It's dangerous, Athena corrects. Truth always is. She approaches the column slowly, the medallion glowing in response, threads of light reaching toward it. The memory well will show what it chooses, she says, not what we demand. Lysander hesitates. Will it show us the cause of the shifting stars? It may, Athena replies, but only if the rhythm allows. She steps closer, and the light wraps around her like flowing water. The column pulses once, twice, then bursts outward in a gentle wave of brilliance. The valley disappears. They stand within a vast expanse of swirling lights, neither earth nor sky. Lysander gasps. Where are we? Inside the memory, Athena says. This is the echo of the world before the fracture. Shapes form around them, towering structures of light, rivers of stars flowing like living currents. Voices murmur softly, overlapping like waves. Fragments of forgotten languages fill the air. Lysander turns slowly, overwhelmed. It's infinite. Athena focuses on the currents of light. Look closely. The rhythm hides its secrets within the patterns. As they watch, one stream of light falters, flickering like a candle struggling against wind. Athena steps toward it. There, she says. The disturbance begins. The flickering spreads like ripples across a still pond. Streams bend, twist, and break, their perfect flow. This is where the shift started, Athena explains, long before mortals noticed the stars. Lysander's voice is quiet. It's like time itself lost its balance. Yes, Athena replies, and when balance breaks, everything follows. The lights surge suddenly, pulling them toward the center of the disturbance. Lysander shouts in alarm, but Athena holds steady, her gaze locked on the twisting stream. For a brief moment, a figure appears within the light, tall, radiant, and watching them silently. Then it vanishes, and the memory collapses inward, pulling them back to the plateau in a rush of air. They stagger slightly as the light fades, and the valley returns to its silent stillness. Lysander clutches his chest. That was real. Athena's eyes narrow. Yes, and whoever that was, they are part of what's coming. The medallion pulses faster, echoing the unseen rhythm. The War of Ages is no longer distant. Its heartbeat is growing stronger. Morning breaks softly over the plains as Athena and Lysander continue their journey toward the rising sun. Mist curls around their feet, cool and gentle, as if the land itself breathes in slow, thoughtful rhythms. Lysander glances at Athena. What we saw, that figure, do you think it was real? Athena's gaze remains fixed ahead. Memory wells do not lie. They reveal what time has hidden. He frowns. Then someone has been there, long before us, watching. Yes, she replies. And they are not merely an echo. They are moving within the rhythm itself. The path bends toward a cluster of ancient stones, standing like quiet sentinels among the tall grass. They mark an old boundary, Athena explains. Once, this was the edge of the eastern sanctum. Lysander touches one of the stones gently. It feels alive, like it remembers. All places touched by the rhythm remember, Athena says, some more clearly than others. A soft hum rises from the ground, subtle but unmistakable, as if the stones are responding to their presence. Lysander steps back, startled. Did you hear that? Athena nods. The boundary is awake. It knows something approaches. They press forward, passing through the circle of stones. The air beyond feels different, sharper, vibrant. Trees line the horizon now, forming the dark outline of a vast forest that stretches farther than they can see. This is the Whispering Grove? Athena says. The rhythm runs deep here, like roots beneath the surface. Lysander shivers slightly. Why does it feel like we're being watched? Because we are, Athena answers simply, but not with eyes you can see. As they step beneath the first branches, the forest greets them with a chorus of rustling leaves. No birds sing here, The sound is entirely the language of wind and wood. Lysander clutches his scrolls tighter. This place is unsettling. It is honest, Athena says. The grove speaks what others try to hide. The deeper they walk, the more the forest seems to close in, branches intertwining like woven threads. Sunlight breaks through in narrow beams, striking the forest floor like scattered lanterns. Then, slowly, a whisper reaches Lysander's ears. Soft, layered, almost like voices overlapping in song. He looks around nervously. Did you hear that? Yes, Athena says calmly. The grove remembers stories. It speaks them to those who listen. The whispers grow clearer, forming faint words in an ancient tongue Lysander cannot fully understand. Athena listens closely, translating silently in her mind. They are speaking of a convergence, she says. Something that will change the rhythm forever. Lysander swallows hard. The War of Ages? Not yet, Athena replies, but the spark that will lead to it. They reach a clearing at the heart of the forest, where an enormous tree rises, its trunk wide as a tower. Roots twist across the ground like frozen waves, and its branches stretch high, disappearing into mist. This, Athena says, is the keeper tree. Its memory stretches farther than any mortal chronicle. Lysander approaches slowly. It feels ancient. It is, Athena replies. It witnessed the first fracture in the sky. The whispers intensify, swirling around them like an invisible storm. Lysander covers his ears, overwhelmed. It's too much. I can't make sense of it. Athena steps forward and lays her hand gently on the bark of the tree. The whispers stop instantly. Silence floods the clearing, deep and absolute. This tree knows the rhythm, Athena says softly. It can show us what words cannot. A soft light spreads beneath her hand, tracing lines through the bark like veins awakening. The ground beneath them trembles faintly as the tree's memory begins to stir. Lysander watches in awe as images form in the air above the roots, shifting patterns of stars and light. A great wheel turns slowly, its spokes connecting constellations in perfect harmony. Then one spoke falters, shattering the balance. The wheel jerks, and the stars begin to realign unnaturally. Athena's eyes narrow. This is the moment of divergence. Lysander whispers, the beginning of the end. The vision changes. A gathering of figures appears. Not gods, not mortals, but something in between. They stand around a radiant core, arguing silently, their gestures sharp and urgent. The Watchers, Athena murmurs, keepers of the rhythm before the first age. The core pulses faster. The figures split apart, some turning away, others stepping closer, defiantly. This is where the rhythm fractured, Athena explains. Division always precedes conflict. The image fades slowly, leaving only the tree's quiet presence and the rustle of distant leaves. Lysander breathes out slowly. So, it was choice, not accident. Yes, Athena says, and choices echo across ages. She steps back from the tree, her expression thoughtful but firm. The grove has shown us what came before. Now we must face what lies ahead. Lysander glances at the forest around them. Do you think the Watchers still exist? Athena looks toward the horizon. Yes, and they are no longer content to remain in memory. The whispers return, softer now, almost like a farewell. Athena turns toward the path leading deeper east. Come. The rhythm waits for no one. Lysander follows, his mind racing with the truth they have uncovered and the mysteries still ahead. The forest closes behind them, sealing their passage as if the grove itself knows their journey has changed. The air carries a quiet urgency. The the War of Ages moves closer with every step they take. Long ago, before history was carved in stone, the world stood between twilight and dawn. Gods walked unseen, whispering to mortals, shaping paths with unseen hands. Among them was Athena, daughter of wisdom, the guardian of clarity and foresight. She did not rule with thunder, nor strike with flame, but with thought sharp as tempered steel. The earth trembled not from battles of swords, but from the silent storms of choices made. Leaders wrestled with pride, kingdoms swayed with ambition, and the people waited in fear. For an age was rising, a time of questions deeper than oceans and higher than stars. They called it the War of Ages. Though no trumpet had yet sounded, no spear had yet fallen. It was a war unseen, where destiny bent beneath the weight of mortal decisions. Athena watched with patient eyes, knowing that wisdom is tested most in shadow. Her voice echoed not in armies, but in dreams, guiding poets, leaders, and seekers of truth. And so the story begins, in the hush before conflict, where silence hides the shape of fate. The world stirred as dawn broke upon a restless age, and whispers curled like smoke across the earth. Villages awoke with unease, for dreams carried shadows too heavy to ignore. Merchants spoke of omens, strange stars burning longer in the night sky. Sailors returned from seas with tales of storms that vanished as quickly as they formed. In quiet temples, priests struggled to read signs etched faintly on ancient stones. No battle horns had sounded, yet the air trembled as if awaiting a storm unseen. The War of Ages had not begun with armies, but with questions haunting the hearts of mortals. In royal halls, rulers gathered, their voices heavy with pride and anxious with fear. Each kingdom sought its path, yet none could see where the roads of ambition would lead. Some spoke of conquest, of expanding borders and claiming what the earth might yield. Others whispered of alliances, of weaving strength through unity and trust. Still, doubt lingered, for power has a way of blinding those who grasp too tightly. Athena watched from the heights of Olympus, her gaze steady, her mind weaving through possibilities. Unlike her kin, she felt no delight in chaos, no hunger for mortal worship or strife. She saw the choices of men and women, small yet heavy, shaping a tapestry of futures. One leader's arrogance could ignite flames that spread beyond a single border. One poet's words could plant seeds of courage that might blossom into peace. And so Athena waited, her wisdom a lantern in the gathering dusk. She whispered not commands, but fragments of insight, woven into dreams and visions. Some heard her in the hush of night, where silence pressed close to their hearts. Others dismissed the stirring as fancy, refusing to heed the gentle call of reason. The first steps of the War of Ages were not marked by blood, but by choices. Every word spoken in council, every decision carved into parchment, carried weight. The world leaned toward a precipice, its people caught between pride and possibility. Athena knew that mortals must walk this path themselves, yet she would not abandon them. Her guidance would be quiet, unseen, a voice that nudged rather than forced. For the greatest wars are not waged with blades, but within the hearts of those who decide. And so the call of destiny grew louder, an echo traveling through kingdoms and minds. The War of Ages had begun, though no one yet named it, and few understood its shape. It was the beginning of a story that would test courage, wisdom, and the will to choose. Athena stood watch, silent but steadfast, knowing that the smallest choice could tip eternity. The sky dimmed though the sun still shone, as if the world sensed a burden it could not name. Across distant plains, farmers looked up, uneasy at winds that carried whispers of unrest. In mountain keeps, messengers rode tirelessly, bearing tidings that stirred both hope and doubt. The gathering storm was not of thunder or rain, but of minds pulling against one another. Pride rose in councils where kings measured worth not by wisdom, but by territory and wealth. Each claim of greatness echoed louder, as if silence itself dared not intervene. The people felt the change, though they could not see its cause, only its shadow. Markets buzzed with rumors of treaties broken, of alliances forged in fragile ink. Bards sang of destiny, their songs both a comfort and a warning in taverns and halls. Children asked questions their elders could not answer, sensing tremors in the unseen. For every noble plan of peace, a voice of conquest rose to challenge its worth. The storm gathered not in the heavens, but in the chambers where choices were made. Athena's gaze swept across the lands, reading not the words, but the hearts behind them. She saw how ambition dressed itself in honor, and how fear disguised itself as strength. Her whispers touched leaders, urging patience, urging thought beyond the moment of pride. Some heard, pausing to reflect, though doubt quickly smothered their flicker of caution. Others refused, their ears too full of their own glory to hear wisdom's song. The storm pressed closer, weaving a tension that hummed through villages and courts alike. No blade had yet been drawn, yet wounds were forming in trust and in promise. Athena knew the danger, for a storm of thought could be as fierce as any war. The gathering storm was a mirror, showing mortals the weight of their own desires. And in that reflection, some trembled, while others smiled, blind to what lay ahead. The goddess did not despair, for she had seen storms before, and she knew their nature. A storm can cleanse as much as it destroys, shaping paths through its fierce passage. But whether mortals would see the lesson or drown in its force was yet unknown. The voices of gods rose faintly, some delighting in the turmoil, others waiting in silence. The world leaned toward conflict, yet still the choice remained in mortal hands. And so the storm gathered strength, silent yet deafening, heavy though invisible to the eye. It was a storm of ambition, of fear, of longing, of pride that blurred reason's light. Athena stood steady, a beacon in the darkening air, watching, waiting, whispering. For though the storm was inevitable, its shape, its reach, and its end were yet to be written. High above mortal lands, the gods gathered in a hall where clouds wove walls of silver light. The council of the gods was called, for whispers of unrest had reached even the heavens. Thrones of fire, stone, and storm stood side by side, each deity cloaked in their own dominion. Zeus, with voice like thunder, demanded order, yet his eyes betrayed curiosity in mortal struggle. Poseidon spoke of oceans restless, waves mirroring the turmoil brewing in human hearts. Ares smiled faintly, his hunger not for peace, but for the fire of rising conflict. Apollo strummed golden strings, foretelling futures in riddles that left more doubt than clarity. And Hera, stern and steady, warned of pride that breaks both kingdoms and families alike. Athena rose, her voice calm, carrying weight not in force, but in undeniable clarity. She spoke of mortals caught in shadow, standing on a precipice between ruin and wisdom. She urged restraint, for the storm gathering below was not yet beyond their choosing. But her words found little harmony, for the gods were divided in desire and intent. Some sought to guide, others to test, and a few to amuse themselves in mortal pain. The council splintered, voices rising, their echoes shaking the very vault of Olympus. Athena did not waver. though she knew her counsel was but one thread in a storm. She reminded them that mortals, though fragile, carried sparks of choice that could outshine fate. To her, the War of Ages was not spectacle, but a lesson yet unwritten in time. Zeus leaned back. Thunder quieted, though his judgment lingered, undecided and heavy. Ares laughed softly, promising that mortals always turn to strife when tested by ambition. Poseidon folded his arms, declaring the seas would bear witness to whatever path they chose. Hestia whispered of hearths and homes, pleading that families should not be shattered by pride. The council ended not with unity, but with a fracture that mirrored the world below. Some gods vowed to intervene, others to remain distant, and still more to play unseen games. Athena left the hall, her steps steady, her mind already weaving strategies of hope. She knew she could not silence her kin, nor bind their whims to her wisdom. But she also knew that mortals, given a chance, might rise beyond divine expectation. The council of the gods had revealed more than debate. It had shown the stage of destiny, and in that stage, mortals would act, guided or misled, shaping an age of legend. The voices of gods faded into the sky, but their influence lingered like shadows at dusk. Athena's resolve deepened, for though the heavens divided, she would remain steadfast. For in the War of Ages, her weapon was not might, but wisdom sharpened by patience. And with that, the council dissolved, leaving Olympus quiet while the storm on earth grew louder. In a chamber beyond mortal sight, the fates sat weaving threads of time with hands both steady and eternal. Clotho spun the strands, Lachesis measured their length, and Atropos waited with shears sharp as silence. Athena stepped softly into their realm, the air humming with the weight of countless destinies. Before her stretched an endless tapestry, glowing with paths of kings, poets, soldiers, and dreamers. Threads shimmered, crossing and knotting, each choice a ripple, each life a spark within the weave. She gazed upon one thread, a kingdom trembling, its destiny uncertain, its leaders lost in pride. Another strand gleamed with promise, the birth of a child whose words could outshine swords. But there were darker threads too, shadows of ruin, of empires collapsing beneath their own ambition. Athena asked the sisters if the War of Ages was written, or if choice still remained. Clotho whispered that beginnings are fragile, yet every start holds countless roads unseen. Lachesis measured a thread, her eyes calm, saying the length is shaped by the weight of choice. Atropos held her shears but did not cut, murmuring that endings are patient, never in haste. The goddess studied the tapestry, seeing patterns mortals could never imagine, yet feeling their fragility. One word in council could shift entire kingdoms. One act of mercy could echo for centuries. Yet she also saw how fear and greed could darken even the brightest woven light. Athena's heart grew heavy, for the fates spoke not of certainty, but of possibility. The War of Ages was not a single story, but 1,000, unfolding with every breath. Each mortal bore a thread, and together they wove the vast storm of what was to come. Athena asked if she might guide, not to bind destiny, but to help mortals see. The fates exchanged glances, their silence deeper than the endless fabric stretched before them. Finally, Lachesis spoke, saying the gods may whisper, but mortals must choose their own steps. Athena bowed her head, accepting that her role was not command, but guidance in shadow. She turned once more to the tapestry, her eyes resting on threads of both hope and sorrow. She saw leaders whose pride might bring downfall, and dreamers whose vision might bring peace. She saw battles that might never be fought if wisdom prevailed in fragile moments of choice. The chamber pulsed with quiet, the loom continuing its eternal work, threads weaving without pause. Athena stepped back, carrying the vision, knowing the weight of what lay before the world. The fates did not stop her, for they knew she would walk her path with care. The War of Ages was not sealed, not yet, for destiny remained a river with many turns. And in that knowledge, Athena resolved to guide where she could and watch where she must. For wisdom cannot change the loom, but it can light the way for those who walk its threads. In the heart of a quiet valley lay a kingdom, small yet restless, caught between fear and ambition. Its walls were strong, but its spirit was fragile, for the people sensed storms beyond their gates. The king sat upon his throne, heavy with doubt, while his council quarreled over the path ahead. Some urged war, claiming strength lay in conquest, in striking before shadows could rise. Others counseled patience, warning that haste would lead to ruin, and alliances must be sought. The halls echoed with words, sharper than steel, each sentence a wound upon fragile unity. Beyond the palace, the streets told another story, one of hunger, hope, and quiet unease. Merchants bartered with wary eyes, unsure if tomorrow's trade would be carried by peace or fear. Children played, but their games echoed the tension, pretending to be rulers and rivals in miniature. In hidden corners, poets wrote verses of warning, their words carrying whispers of truth. Among the people was a young leader, not yet crowned, but respected for wisdom beyond years. He listened more than he spoke, and when he did, his words carried weight like stone. The king regarded him with both pride and suspicion, for youth often threatened the old. Yet in secret, the young leader sought guidance in dreams, where a voice of clarity spoke. Athena whispered in his sleep, not with commands, but with images of what might come. He saw roads diverging, one leading to fire, the other to fragile but lasting peace. Awakening, he carried those visions, unsure if they were divine or merely the stirrings of thought. Still, his heart urged him toward caution, toward bridges built instead of burned. Meanwhile, the council grew restless, their arguments loud, their patience thin as fading parchment. The kingdom stood on the edge of choice, where one word might turn the tide of destiny. Athena watched, knowing that in this small place, the heart of the War of Ages pulsed. It was not armies that mattered, but the wisdom to see beyond pride and fear. She whispered again, planting courage like a seed, though whether it would grow was uncertain. The young leader rose in council, his voice calm but strong, cutting through the din of dispute. He spoke of futures unseen, of children's laughter or their silence, depending on their choice. Some listened, others scoffed, but his words lingered like embers waiting for breath to ignite. The kingdom trembled in decision, its fate hanging in the balance of fragile voices. And though the storm pressed closer, there remained a chance, a sliver of light in the dark. For one heart had heard Athena's whisper, and sometimes a single heart can change the world. The kingdom stood still, caught between two paths, as the War of Ages waited to unfold. Beyond the kingdom's borders stretched wild lands, untamed forests, and rivers that carried secrets of time. Here dwelled travelers, wanderers, and nomads, whose lives flowed with the rhythm of earth and sky. They had no walls, no thrones, yet their wisdom was carved in song, story, and silent observation. For generations they watched kingdoms rise and fall, each leaving only echoes in the wind. Among them was an elder, a seer whose eyes were clouded with age, yet bright with knowing. She spoke not in commands, but in riddles, guiding her people through storms of uncertainty. Her visions came not from temples, but from stars, not from priests, but from the pulse of earth. One night she saw a great shadow moving across the horizon, not of men, but of time itself. She called her people together, their faces lit by fire, their silence deep with reverence. "The war of ages stirs," she whispered, "and even we, wanderers, cannot walk apart from its path." The people listened, their hearts steady, for they knew that storms do not spare the free. Among them was a youth, restless and curious, drawn to the pull of destiny's thread. He asked the elder where the path would lead, but she only smiled, for answers are never simple. Instead, she told him of Athena, the goddess who spoke in dreams and guided without force. "She watches all," the elder said. "Not just kings, not just rulers, but even the humble traveler." The youth lay awake under the stars, wondering if the goddess saw him, a boy of no renown. In the stillness of night, he felt a whisper in the wind, gentle as a mother's hand. It was not a command, but an invitation, a call to step into the story unfolding. The next morning he rose, determined to journey beyond the forests, beyond the rivers. He sought to see the kingdoms for himself, to learn why the earth trembled with unseen weight. The elder watched him go, her heart both heavy and hopeful, knowing he was part of a greater weave. As he traveled, he met strangers with stories of unrest, of councils divided and rulers afraid. He listened, he asked, and in every word he heard the echo of something vast approaching. Sometimes he dreamed, and in those dreams a voice of clarity lingered, calm and guiding. Athena's whispers reached him too, though faint, like a spark waiting to catch flame. He realized the war of ages was not bound to palaces or crowns alone. It touched every life, from king to farmer, from elder to child, from wanderer to poet. And though he was young, he felt the weight of choice, the burden of paths yet unseen. Still he walked, carrying not sword or shield, but the courage of open eyes and listening heart. For sometimes, the smallest traveler holds the thread that binds a story too vast to see. And Athena, watching from her quiet realm, smiled, for wisdom often grows in unexpected soil. Far across the sea, another kingdom stirred, vast and gilded, its towers gleaming in the morning sun. It was a realm of wealth and wonder, its streets paved with marble, its markets full of treasures untold. The rulers of this kingdom prided themselves not on war, but on knowledge, craft, and ambition. They built ships that cut through waves like arrows, and libraries that held the weight of ages. Yet beneath the beauty, whispers rose, whispers of unrest and dreams, too large for one land to hold. Philosophers debated in grand halls, their words echoing with visions of a future boundless and free. Merchants longed for new lands to trade with, while some hungered for influence beyond their shores. The queen of this realm was wise and steady, her crown heavy not with gold, but with responsibility. She ruled not with fear, but with balance, weaving justice like a careful seamstress with fragile thread. Still, even she could feel the pull of destiny, a current dragging her kingdom toward unseen trials. Each night she walked the palace gardens, her steps light, her heart filled with restless thought. One evening, beneath the silver gaze of the moon, a presence brushed against her soul. It was not shadow, not dream, but a clarity so sharp it stilled her wandering mind. Athena's voice came, soft yet firm, like the sound of water flowing over stone. "Your people stand at a crossroads," the goddess whispered, "and the world waits on your choices." The queen listened in silence, her breath slow, her heart trembling with both awe and resolve. She asked no questions, for she knew gods rarely gave answers, only paths hidden in light. In the days that followed, her voice in council grew stronger, her vision clearer than before. She urged her people to prepare, not for conquest, but for resilience, for wisdom in change. Her advisors marveled, some fearing her boldness, others finding courage in her steadfast calm. Beyond the palace, the people too began to sense a shift, as if fate stirred beneath their feet. The youth spoke of voyages across seas, of alliances with lands they had never touched. Poets sang of horizons not yet seen, and even the weary laborers paused to dream of tomorrow. Athena's whisper had planted a seed, and in this kingdom, it began to grow like fire. The queen knew the war of ages would not come only with spears and shields. It would come with choices, with voices, with the fragile strength of hearts unbroken. She prepared her people not for ruin, but for resilience, for unity in the face of shadow. And though storms gathered far away, her realm stood steady, ready to meet what was to come. For Athena's wisdom was not only for warriors, but for all who dared to see beyond fear. And in this kingdom, that wisdom took root, binding them to the great weave of destiny. High in the mountains, where clouds wrapped peaks in veils of silver, a monastery stood in stillness. Its walls were plain, its halls unadorned, but within lived keepers of wisdom older than empires. They were not kings, not warriors, but seekers of truth, patient guardians of silence and time. For centuries they studied the stars, the winds, the rhythm of earth, listening for the voice beneath. Their leader, an aged monk with eyes like quiet rivers, sensed the stirring of destiny's tide. He gathered his disciples beneath the open sky, where torches flickered and shadows danced softly. The war of ages approaches, he told them, but it is not of swords, it is of spirit. The young monks listened, their faces calm, though their hearts trembled at the weight of his words. One asked if gods would intervene, if Athena herself would descend and shield the world from ruin. The elder shook his head, smiling gently, for wisdom knows the gods rarely act with thunder. They whisper, he said, they guide, but it is mortals who must walk the path of choice. That night, as the mountains slept, the elder sat alone, gazing into the deep vault of stars. A whisper came, soft and sure, carrying both comfort and challenge in its quiet tone. It was Athena, speaking not to command, but to remind, her voice clear as moonlight on water. The world trembles, yet not from war, but from the weight of choices untaken, she whispered. The elder bowed his head, not in worship, but in recognition of truth revealed in silence. The next morning, he sent his disciples down the mountains, each to a different corner of the world. They carried no banners, no weapons, only words, teachings, and the calm strength of peace. One journeyed to the kingdoms at war, speaking of patience in halls filled with restless voices. Another walked among farmers, reminding them that even in storms, the earth holds seeds of hope. A third traveled across seas, sharing wisdom with merchants who dreamed of power and gain. Each bore Athena's whisper, though not all who heard them believed, for truth often stirs doubt. Still, seeds were planted, seeds of thought, waiting for the right season to break through the soil. The elder remained, watching the horizon, knowing he might not see the fruit of their journeys. Yet he was content, for their wisdom is not for one life, but for generations to come. Athena's presence lingered in the monastery, not as vision, but as a quiet breath in the air. She knew the war of ages would be shaped not only by crowns, but by voices unseen. In silence, in patience, in words shared across distant roads. The weave of fate was strengthened. And though the mountains stood still, their quiet wisdom moved through valleys and seas like wind. For in the war of ages, even silence could be louder than the clash of armies. And Athena smiled. For once more, mortals carried her gift of clarity into the waiting world. In the heart of the desert, where sand stretched endless and the sun burned like a watchful eye, a city thrived. It was not a city of stone alone, but of spirit, built by hands that endured wind and fire. Its towers rose like mirages, shimmering gold against the horizon, a beacon for travelers across barren lands. Here lived a people proud and resilient, their voices carrying songs older than the dunes themselves. They had faced storms, droughts, and silence, yet their hearts remained steadfast, rooted in memory and faith. The ruler of this city was neither young nor old, but a woman with eyes like tempered glass. She walked the streets as often as the halls of her palace, listening to the pulse of her people. One night, while the desert winds howled, she climbed the highest tower and gazed into the stars. There, in the endless canopy of night, she felt the weight of something vast pressing near. Athena's whisper reached her, not as a command, but as a thread woven into the desert air. The war of ages rises, the goddess said, but strength lies not in walls, nor wealth, but in unity. The ruler closed her eyes, letting the words sink like water into thirsty soil. When dawn came, she summoned her council, urging them to think not of borders, but of bonds. She spoke of alliances with distant lands, of trade turned into trust, of voices joined in harmony. Some doubted, arguing that unity was fragile as sand slipping through one's grasp. But others felt her vision strike deep, like roots finding water hidden beneath dry earth. Among the people, too, change stirred, as merchants, poets, and wanderers shared her dream. Songs began to spread through the streets, telling of strength not in swords, but in togetherness. Children learned them first, carrying the words on laughter, until even elders hummed the melody. The desert city became a chorus, each voice a note in something larger, something unseen. And though fear lingered, it was softened by the knowledge that they did not stand alone. The ruler herself walked at night among her people, hearing their voices rise like prayer. In her dreams, Athena returned, her presence calm, her words simple yet unshakable. "You have chosen wisely," she whispered, "for the strongest fortress is the heart united in purpose." The ruler bowed in silence, for she knew the path ahead was uncertain, yet lit by hope. Beyond the desert, news spread of this unity, reaching distant lands like a ripple across still water. Some mocked it, calling it weakness, but others paused, their hearts stirred by the quiet strength. Athena smiled, for she saw her wisdom take shape not only in kings, but in common voices. The war of ages was not yet upon them, but its seeds had been sown across kingdoms and sands. And in the desert city, beneath stars eternal, those seeds began to bloom in the hearts of many. For sometimes, the harshest lands yield the most enduring flowers, if only courage dares to plant them. The sea stretched wide, silver beneath the moon, carrying whispers of journeys yet to unfold. On its restless surface, ships sailed like wandering stars, each bearing dreams across the horizon. Among them was a vessel unlike the rest, its sails deep blue, stitched with the symbol of an owl. It carried no armies, no weapons, but scrolls, instruments, and voices eager to share their wisdom. Athena had guided its course, urging its crew to bring knowledge where fear had long planted shadows. The captain was a scholar, Once a student of silence, now a teacher of stories and truth. He walked the deck at night, charting stars, whispering prayers not of conquest, but of connection. Each port they touched became a spark, as strangers gathered to hear tales of courage and unity. Some doubted, asking how words could stand against storms, or songs against the weight of empires. But others felt their hearts stir, realizing that battles fought with wisdom leave no ashes behind. In one harbor city, they met a ruler weary of walls, who listened as the crew sang. He felt the power of voices rising together, and wondered if peace could be more lasting than fear. The ship sailed on, leaving seeds behind, invisible but alive, growing quietly in hearts and halls. Athena watched from above, her presence felt in the steady winds that carried the vessel forward. She knew the war of ages drew nearer, yet she also knew the foundation of something greater was set. The crew learned as much as they taught, for every land carried its own wisdom, hidden in stories. Children spoke of dreams of rivers unbroken, poets shared songs of mountains, elders told of stars eternal. And slowly, these threads wove together, forming a fabric no sword could cut, nor fire unmake. The scholar captain often stood at the prow, feeling the spray of the sea and thinking of the future. He knew their work was not to end wars outright, but to prepare hearts for what must come. For the war of ages would test not just armies, but the endurance of trust between peoples. On one quiet night, beneath a sky strewn with constellations, Athena's voice rose again, calm and clear. "You are weaving what steel cannot," she said, "and your song will echo when silence tries to reign." The captain bowed his head, knowing her words carried both promise and burden, both hope and warning. The ship pressed onward, crossing waters as wide as time, carrying not riches, but a wealth of spirit. Everywhere it went, fear lessened, and hope grew like dawn, rising slow, unstoppable, across the world. The war of ages was near, but so too was the strength of a chorus joined across nations. And when the tide turned, when shadows stretched, they would not face it alone, but bound as one. Athena's wisdom had taken root, not in thrones or temples, but in the living hearts of many. And that, above all, was the beginning of a new dawn that no darkness could erase. The world stood at a threshold, its lands holding their breath as the war of ages loomed on the horizon. Across mountains, deserts, and seas, whispers traveled, carrying both fear and the fragile thread of hope. Athena watched in silence, her gaze steady, knowing that mortals had begun to shape their own destiny. The lessons she had sown now lived in voices, in songs, in promises shared beneath countless skies. No single kingdom held the key, no single ruler bore the weight, but all together carried the flame. In quiet villages, children recited words of unity as naturally as they once spoke of storms and stars. In bustling cities, merchants found trust beyond coins, weaving bonds stronger than walls or guarded gates. Even in halls of rulers, debates shifted, no longer only of power, but of the greater good. The war of ages, once feared as shadow, had become a mirror of choice, division or unity. Athena's presence lingered like dawn light, not commanding, but guiding, waiting to see what hearts would decide. The gods themselves grew still, sensing something new, an echo of strength born not of force, but of faith. The people, though many and different, began to sense their voices blending into one rising chorus. That chorus was not free of doubt, but it held resilience, a rhythm that could not be broken. The ruler of the desert city raised her eyes to the horizon, knowing the future was uncertain. Yet she smiled, for she had seen her people sing together, and in that, she found her answer. The scholar captain stood at the edge of the sea, listening to the wind carry songs inland. He knew the ship's journey was only the beginning, a thread in the vast fabric being woven. And across distant fields, farmers lifted their heads from the soil, feeling strength in the shared silence. The War of Ages did not arrive as a storm, but as a choice carried in every heart. Would they stand apart, fragile as scattered leaves, or join together, enduring as roots of ancient trees? Athena whispered softly to the winds. Her words carried to all who paused long enough to listen. Your strength lies not in arms, but in the bond you hold, in the trust you dare to keep. And so, as night fell, the world did not tremble with fear, but glowed with quiet resolve. The stars above seemed closer, as if bending down to witness a moment both fragile and eternal. The War of Ages had been foretold, but its ending was yet unwritten, resting in mortal hands. Not in temples, not in thrones, but in villages, in marketplaces, in every voice willing to rise. Athena closed her eyes, not in weariness, but in trust, for the choice was no longer hers. It belonged to those who walked the earth, who carried the flame of unity across time. And in that moment, a new dawn began, not blazing, but steady, eternal, unbroken by shadow.